is at home. Z Getchell facilitates our Sunday Child and Caregiver program, and Z is away with a winter solstice service with the children this morning. We also have Mike Kosowski, who you were just hearing during announcements, who does the Zoom web hosting duties as well. Thank you to all of them. This service is being recorded for the public, both on YouTube and on our new website. Joys and concerns or similar personal moments will be edited out. If you have privacy concerns, you can turn off your camera so you're not seen and rename yourself. Now, as a courtesy to others, please don't use chat to send messages to everyone during the service. Now, that's the introductions and some technical instructions, and they're out of the way. We now have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. This is our threshold moment. Let our service begin now. As we light our chalice, you may want to light your own chalice or hold your hands in the form of a chalice, but either way, join our choir as we sing.
We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts.
And now for our prelude. Susanne, would you like to introduce it?
I would. Thank you very much, Gordon. Our prelude this morning is hymn number 72, which the Spirit Choir recorded last year. Some folks think this choir is a summer song. It's called Has Summer Come Now Dawning, but really is a winter solstice song. In the video, you will see images provided by our congregation celebrating this time of year. Enjoy.
Summer come now dawning amidst the winter snows, and shall we nest the tiny birds within the pine tree's boughs? And shall we nest the tiny birds within the pine tree's boughs? Already now the candles have blossomed on the tree to light the longest winter night for all of us to see. To light the longest winter night for all of us to see. The old one now made youthful, just like the child at play. The bending back now straightened, so in our hearts we pray. The bending back now straightened, so in our hearts we pray. In all our hearts is kindled a heart for souls sublime. Would that this Yuletide spirit be with us for all time. Would that this Yuletide spirit be with us for all time. Would that this Yuletide spirit be
Good morning and welcome. We acknowledge the land our sanctuary stands on, or the colonized territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. I offer my gratitude to our First Nations for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. I will work to honor those teachings and, mindful of the broken treaties and covenants of the past, make right past injustices. I also strive to peacefully care for the land that we share in a spirit of respect, peace, and friendship. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of the world. Happy Solstice. Well, perhaps happy isn't the correct way to characterize the solstice, which is the time of the year when the days are the shortest and the sun is the lowest in the sky. It is understandable to imagine our pagan ancestors praying for the return of the sun, worrying that it may never return. In this month of Food for the Soul, today we are offering the theme of Seasons of the Soul, a reminder that we, like the earth and the sun, have cycles, a reminder that even in the dark night of the soul, the light returns. The service is going to be split into 3 phases, like the seasons. Fall, when the days grow shorter, plants die off and return to the earth. Winter, when we endure the darkness, waiting for the light. And then spring, when the light returns and the cycle of life begins anew. Our minister will speak about each season, and Wayne, Joan Walder, and I will offer personal stories about our own seasons of the soul. At this time in the service, we ask you to turn to your neighbor and greet them. In a moment, please unmute your device, switch to gallery view, and offer a greeting to those around you. We will sound a chime to end, so now take a moment to greet the neighbors around you.
Morning.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey guys.
Good morning, everyone.
Susan, Susan,
And Myra. Yvette.
Hi, Jess.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Cody.
Hey, Sean.
Hi. Terry.
Hi, Pat.
It was so nice to hear those chimes again during our in-person service. It's kind of hard to hear them on the recording again. I now invite you to join me in reading our opening words, which will appear on your screen. I know Michelle and I know them so well that, and they mean so much to us that we turn off our sound and state them aloud. If you're on a phone and don't know the words, just listen to my reading. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. So now, as we hold this place open to grace and insight, Wayne, do you have a question for our community?
You know, I was wondering if some of us might be willing to share the season that we're going through in our own soul. You know, they don't have to match the seasons outside. Sometimes there's a time, even in the winter, when it's spring inside of us. And sometimes even in the summer, it's winter inside of us. Maybe in a few words or a few sentences, you might be able to tell us something about the season of your soul. Mike, I wonder if you can help me, if people are willing to put their hand up by raising their virtual hand or even their physical hand. And then we can listen to what your season of the soul is.
Absolutely. I see Peter has his hand up. Let me just add him.
Hi, Wayne. I'm going to mess things up because I like Kurt Vonnegut, who has 6 seasons. There's spring, summer, fall, locking, winter, unlocking. Because there's a period when it isn't quite winter yet, when we're locking things down, and a period when it isn't quite summer, when we're unlocking, before spring actually starts. And I would say I'm in the unlocking phase right now. So that's the season I'm in.
Thank you.
I have Yvette. Hi, Yvette.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, so the season. Well, as many of you might know or might recall, tomorrow we're on the eve of the 9th anniversary of my sister Annette's death. And 9 years in, I can say that this season, I actually put my tree up earlier than usual. I've been able to enjoy the lights and in a bit of a different place than I might have been the first couple of seasons and holidays without her. But I look back on 2012, which is when she passed, and I look back on it with the magic and the mystery of those dates and the solstice and her passing, and the magic and beauty and spirituality that was incorporated in all of those moments on 2012. And I think I'm going to be able to enjoy the season a little bit better this year. Thanks.
I think we have time for one more. Mike?
It seems like that might be everyone who feels like sharing right now, but that's going to be also the same topic for our breakout room. So maybe people can ponder that for that time.
That's great. Thank you.
Now, let us join Susanne for a song reflecting the returning cycle of the seasons of the soul. Susanne?
Hello, everyone. I invite you to switch over to gallery view at this point so you're able to see the whole congregation as if we were together, singing together in the space. Last year for this service, the Solstice service, the choir also recorded one of our favorite hymns, Return Again. And Return Again will be appearing throughout this service, returning again and again. So please join the choir in singing Return Again to the Home of Your Soul.
Return to
We are nature. Sometimes we feel we are above or beyond nature, but the salt water moves within our bones and our blood, and life stretches us like the leaves. We are nature. Often we speak about the nature outside of us during the solstice, but today I wanted us to remember the nature inside us. If we know we are nature, then it's reasonable to assume the seasons we see outside us occur inside us as well. We know the hard and breezy work of summer, the bounty and the letting go of autumn, the bleak waiting of winter, and the promise of spring's new light. We know that the seasons outside us reflect seasons inside. They're celebrating our accomplishments, like the harvest from our planting and our work. There's time when we don't know what to do, and it seems like nothing works, so we hunker down like the dead of winter. And there are days of hope for new opportunities, new insights, new love. And these come like a spring breeze. Our lives don't go as the seasons always, nor do they go as we've planned, because life has its own seasons, and we're part of life. This autumn season allows us to harvest what we've worked on, to reap the bounty of our plantings, of our work during the fall. We enjoy the harvest, and we should. It comes after our effort. You know it. In the fields, jobs, children, creativity, health, learning. We reap the bounty. And just like the bounty of the food harvest, there are times in our soul when we reap the bounty of an inner harvest. We know this well, and we should always enjoy the inner harvest of our soul. Autumn is also the time when the growing season ends, though. The leaves fall, we feel the cold, the light changes and the ground dries. The autumn, the transition season, holds bittersweet feelings because the summer is over. And in some ways we know one day it will end for good, all these seasons. So we stop our efforts. We hope patience becomes our virtue. And we hold on to a pause in our lives. The fall forces us to let go as we ready ourselves for winter. Joan and I have 3 boys, Lee, Keith, and Simon. They're very different, and I like to think we had a very lovely young family. Joan and I did many things with our children when they were young. We made time for walks and sports and holiday dinners and games. Then we spent the rest of our time working, probably like many of you. This is the way we lived, and while there are many ways to raise children, we certainly tried our best. We feel, and I feel, that the 5 of us had a close and loving relationship. There are many wonderful harvests from a family like this. I feel that our boys are all intelligent, hardworking, good men. My pride in these boys is one of the harvests of my family. And I have loved being a father. It has taught me how to be a better man. These gifts from my and our work have been a harvest of goodness in the season of our soul. But you know, when the kids were about 15, they rejected us. One day they came from their rooms and they did not treat us like the loving children we thought we had raised. Each in their own way told us to F off again and again and again. Each of them ran away. One literally ran away. Another ran to his biological mom, where he had more freedom, and the last ran to an inner life we're still trying to gain access to. I was so surprised at first. How could these children I cared for over 15 years reject me? I was so hurt, and I felt I had lost something so precious. And of course, I did lose something. I lost our innocent relationship that was based on a lovely codependency between father and sons. I knew intellectually that in a normal and healthy development of any family, these boys I loved so dearly would reject me so they could live on their own without me. But to feel the rejection is different from thinking about it. I had to let them go. I lived as much as 10 years in this autumn. I felt that many of my leaves blew off as I let them go. Love that changes can be painful. Letting go of the boys continues even now as we build an adult relationship together. The loving and the letting go of the children has opened my heart in a way that really nothing else could. It has also left scars that nothing else could.
This is a special time in our service when we invite you to share a joy or concern in your life. If there isn't anyone else, we light this last candle, this last virtual candle, for all the joys and concerns that remain unspoken in our hearts. Wayne?
Within the grip of winter, it's almost impossible to imagine the spring sometimes. And the light goes out. And as I put the light out in our chalice, we all know what that's like, having the light go out. Gray, dry landscape seems only gray. Bleakness meets the eye. Everything seems severe and edged. Winter, it's the oldest season. It endured for eons before the first spring. You can feel it, heaviness, a grayness that makes your shoulders sometimes hunch up close to your neck. In winter, everything hides in the hope it'll survive and be allowed to grow again. It forces us to consider and reconsider who we are, what we are doing. It forces us to stay warm, sheltered. Winter often is not our choosing. It's a forced retreat. And no matter how much we may love the challenge of the cold and snow, we end our days by coming home to warm, to food, to shelter.
Losing one parent is hard, but when you lose the remaining parent, you are adrift. After my mother died, after the memorial, after we'd given away or sold off her possessions, after we'd emptied the suite at the Performing Arts Lodge where she lived and shipped what remained across the country from Vancouver, there was nothing to do but return home. It's not by coincidence that many elderly die in the winter months. It's a hard time. Many hold on for the holidays and then let go. And then what? Parents are like the glue that keeps a family together. When they go, you become untethered. For many adult children, they have their own children to turn to for meaning. Michelle and I are childless. I was coming to the end of my career. Young and more active people were taking the freelance jobs that I spent a lifetime working at and cultivating. Retirement loomed. But what did that look like? What would I do? What was the next thing? I was bumping around in the dark, looking for meaning and purpose. But like the winter season, the darkness and the solitude provide a time for reflection. I asked the circle of trust for insight. I thought about the gifts that my parents had given me, the values, the sensitivities to the arts, the empathy, the privileges. I also considered the burdens. When you live in the shadow of an accomplished parent, my mother was a force in Canadian theatre, there's a change when that shadow is gone. You can either take the challenge of living up to their accomplishments, or you can feel freed from that burden. The standards that my mother measured herself and her work against, that perfectionism, was no longer mine. The winter is not just a good time for reflection, but also clarity. Like the clarity of a crisp winter's day, you see things clearer. The darkness gives you space to see things in a way that you can't when you're involved in the everyday. That space after a parent leaves is your space to expand in. Thank you. Now I ask our minister to lead us in meditation or prayer.
It's winter outside. When I was walking, I could hear the crunching of the snow under my boots. Find a way that you can feel comfortable and sit with some delight. Take your time to settle in. In spirituality, there are many milestones. We've spoken about them before. The one that sometimes we miss is that we can choose to be aware of what we wish. We don't have to be aware of whatever comes. This, of course, is what happens when we say, we can be aware of our breathing now, breathe in and breathe out. We're training our mind to choose the awareness we follow. So let's practice on this cold winter morning. Can you be aware of what you hear? And when you hear it, don't categorize it or judge it. Should be off, should be on, too loud, too soft, just right, disconcerting. Awareness. Hearing. You can do this anywhere, anytime. Let's do another one. Take a breath. In and out. And feel the way that your body breathes. In. Out. Can you feel by your nose where the air moves? Or your ribs that stretch and tighten? Or your belly that comes out and comes in? Can you feel? Can you feel the breath? Let's change it up one more time. Bring a memory into awareness. Could be yesterday. Could be 20 years ago. You choose. Bring a memory. When you bring it, see if you can feel the detail. What was being worn? What was being said? And we can choose our awareness. It's a big spiritual milestone, available anytime, anywhere. Stop. Look. Ask. What would I like to be aware of now? And then you choose. You choose. And slowly come back. Spring begins one day. It's a warmth you can feel and smell. Maybe you see the crocuses coming up through the snow. It blows across your lips, that breeze, and spring announces it has broken the grip of winter. We cross a threshold from the cold to the warmth, and sometimes we did not even know it was coming. Spring in our step. We didn't know the new light was secretly at work within the heart of the winter, below the surface of our lives, setting us up for another year, another spinning of the season, another turning of the star wheel. We hoped, but we never suspected all of this under the winter. Swimming then comes to mind, running, outdoor patios, light clothing, bicycles, longer days in the sun, 100 things. And as we extricate ourselves from the winter, a glancing thought of our own mortality can pass by. How many more turnings of our star wheel? Spring, it's a surprise, it's a change, and green leaves unfurl out of nowhere, everywhere. It's the new light. It's the new light. And we take the new light every time.
I love all the seasons. If I had to pick a favorite, as a teacher, I would have to say summer, the time when the living is easy and without responsibility. But spring, for me, spring is the time of mindfulness, of paying attention, of noticing. I begin thinking about the coming of spring while winter still has a firm grip. You see, I'm an optimist, and I have learned to pay attention to the subtle signs of spring when others might not notice. I look to the tiniest buds on the trees as they begin to swell ever so slightly with the rare warm days that interrupt endless cold, damp days. I mark the return of the light daily, and I actively look for the first robin of the season, searching the trees in late January and February. It is surprising when you actively look how much is actually changing in the natural world around us. This noticing helps me to cope with a winter that seems to go on endlessly. Noticing offers me hope. It was a long time ago, but the time that most immediately came to mind when I was asked to speak about the spring as a season of my soul was years ago in my former marriage. My ex-husband is a good man. I loved him, but there was something missing in our relationship. We lived separate lives, me with my friends and interests, and he with his. We were disconnected. Even after the birth of our son, we did not come together as a team. I often felt angry, sad, and very, very lonely. He refused to go to counseling until I finally threatened to leave. I have always been grateful to our therapist, who I think did something unusual to help me move forward. He met us together, but also asked to meet with each of us separately. In my alone session, he told me that my husband would never leave the marriage. If we were to separate, I would have to be the person to leave. I was so surprised to hear this. I thought this was something we would realize and act on together. The therapist suggested that I give our relationship a year. If things didn't change, I could decide to stay in a good enough marriage or leave and aspire to the relationship I hoped for. He alerted me to the fact that I needed to pay attention. I needed to work at connecting, to be more aware of my feelings and find ways to share them without creating more distance in our relationship. I searched for signs of hope and sharing. I looked for growth and change in myself and in my partner. After about 6 months, I knew that I needed to end the marriage. I was the one who had to make the move. It was difficult and sad, but it was the right decision. I was so shocked at how right the leaving actually felt when I finally did it. It was the springtime of a new life, one that allowed me to open to new possibilities in relationship. It was the beginning for me of noticing me and how my interactions with others promoted alienation or growth, trust or fear. There have been many missteps, and there still are. I have learned to apologize, to speak up when things don't feel good or right. I have had to own anger, to eat crow, to reframe situations and to see things from many points of view. As difficult as it can be, the rewards have been many. I have learned that growth and change are so much better than being right and rigidly holding on to opinions and beliefs. Growth and change are necessary for life to go on. Considering spring as a season of my soul has confirmed this for me. Spring is the time of mindfulness, of paying attention, of noticing. And now, and for the past 35 plus years, I have been in the relationship I aspired to, and I hope to continue learning, changing, and growing in all my relationships. Thank you.
Nature insists on taking its time. Nothing is rushed. From one season to another, even the storms have their calm. The rhythm of the seasons. It's like an emergence of some primordial energy that moves like the sounds, its own way and our way. With great confidence, the seasons move. So when we're frantically busy or hopelessly sad, we can lean on them. When we're impatiently waiting, we can enjoy the pause of the winter. When our hearts are frozen, we can warm them with friends and memories. When the light comes back, when it turns on inside us, we can rejoice. Another precious year. As the star wheel turns, love the seasons, both inside you and out. Thanks for listening.
Now comes the time for our offertory. Now, I want you to remember the feeling of being here in person, the generosity that people in the sanctuary felt and responded to that finally meant that there was something in the basket. Now, I want you to channel that feeling, even though you're at home in front of a computer. We cover our rent on the money we have invested for the sale of Hiawatha, but we need your contributions for everything else. So a link in your chat window is there for you now, and all you need to do is click on it. If not, then highlight it and paste it into a browser, and it'll take you to your donations, to our donations page. If you already contribute to pre-authorized withdrawals, we thank you. We'll now pause and Susanne will play.
Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again. Return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are. again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. As we continue to build relationships amongst the DMC, the music program is already in collaboration. So what you're about to see is a video created by our 3 communities featuring the young folk of our communities and the families. This is a song called Light a Candle of Peace, and I thank Hillary Donaldson from EEU for the initiative to get this started. Enjoy.
Will you sing with us a little bit?
I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing though.
Light a candle for peace, light a candle for love, light a candle that shines all the way around the world. Light a candle for me, light a candle for you, that our wish for world peace will one day come true. Light a candle for peace, light a candle for love, light a candle that shines all the way around the world. Light a candle for me, light a candle for you, that our wish for world peace will one day come true. Sing peace around the world. 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 Light a candle for peace, light a candle for love, light a candle that shines all the way around the world. Light a candle for me, light a candle for you, that our wish for world peace will one day come true.
What do you think, Hazel?
Great.
And now I invite you to sing with our choir as we extinguish our chalice.
Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts.
Today I offer this blessing, the blessing that all of you, have offered the authority for. May you become the gracious and passionate subject of your own life. May you not disrespect the mystery through brittle words, impatience, or false kindness. May you be embraced by God or life as twilight and light become one. May you fall again into love with your own life, because you are nature. And of course you belong. For those of you who don't wish to join a breakout room, thank you for joining us. Thank you so very, very much. Everyone who remains will be asked to join a breakout room. And today's question to consider in the breakout room is, what season of the soul is it for you? Winter, spring, summer, fall, or those lock up and lock down seasons that Peter spoke about. If you're new to neighborhood and have questions about who we are or joining us, just stay in the meeting by saying later to the request to join a breakout room, and I'll be there to talk and respond to any questions you have. We have a tradition here of circling around and holding each other's hands when we're in this space together, which we did a few weeks ago. Instead, go to gallery view, unmute yourself, and together let us say namaste, which means I salute the spirit within you. So unmute.
Namaste.
Namaste. everyone.
Namaste.
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 Namaste. Stay
Be
safe.
well,
Safe paths.
everyone.
Safe paths. Namaste.
Our service has ended. Go in peace. I hope to see you in a breakout room.